Hello everyone, I'm Vincent White. I'm an employment attorney, and today we're answering a question we received recently. Why are so many people suing IBM, good old Big Blue, for age discrimination? And the easy answer is that IBM has been kind enough to create a number of articles and rebranding strategies and pamphlets and documents and statistical data, all of which seems to reflect that IBM is favoring the hiring, promoting, and retention of millennial employees to such an extent that they've specifically begun to push employees over 40 into resource actions, into layoffs essentially, or push their jobs to be reallocated overseas. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. You can very easily follow the data. Right? This all goes back to 2012. The new CEO coming in that time, Virginia, I believe her name is Virginia Ginny Rometty, took over, and she had a vision for IBM. She was going to rebrand IBM. And the core tenet of that plan was going to be millennials. Millennials were going to drive the future of IBM. Okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense to some extent. At some time in the future, millennials will be the core workforce of IBM, so it makes sense to get the best and the brightest of the millennials, if that's something you want to do. It's not inherently stupid, although very strange as a rebranding strategy, right? How are you going to solve your company's problems? Millennials. What? That's what we hired you for as CEO? Millennials! Doesn't make any sense. But, okay, fine. So, in 2014, as part of this rebrand, there's this invitation-only event. IBM's, bigwigs, whatever, and they have all these slides. And in these slides, you see things like, IBM's future will be driven purely by millennials. Okay, nothing new there. Millennials are in touch with the new technologies. Didn't your current staff build your current technologies? I mean, if they built them, I would imagine your technical staff over the age of 40 would be familiar with the technologies they created for you. That doesn't make too much sense. Okay, there's always a bad slide in the mix, right? Oh, there's another slide, though. People over 50 are dubious of analytics and don't really understand data. Ooh, that's a gross generalization. That's a strange thing to put on a slide for a company that I presume has a basic understanding of U.S. law and what is age discrimination. But okay. It goes on. There are additional slides. Baby boomers are the outliers, one of the slides proclaims. And then, not long after that, Bill Grady, who touts himself as an IBM strategist, comes out and says, what's good for millennials is good for everyone. Well, when you're making decisions about which groups of employees get included in resource actions and which groups of employees have their jobs pushed overseas so they then have to be let go, and which groups of employees get promoted, well, those are very finite decisions, right? There's only so many good outcomes. So if you favor millennials with all the good outcomes, which you only have so many of, then by definition, Mr. Grady, what's good for millennials isn't going to be good for employees over 40. That doesn't really make any sense. And that's just ignoring the fact that you don't seem to have any grasp of a strategy for IBM. Millennials are good. How do you get this job? I mean, but okay, all right. Then IBM launched a blog called The Millennial Experience that was aimed at, recruiting and keeping millennials happy. And not long after that, in 2015, they launched a pamphlet entitled Myths, Exaggerations, and Uncomfortable Truths. I wonder if they meant uncomfortable truths about age. Because in that pamphlet, they state that boomers are less digitally proficient. Again, your highly technical staff that created the technologies your company sells, you're arguing they're less digitally Digitally proficient? Okay. All right. Go on. Tell me more. That same pamphlet went on to say that the boomers are the cause of tension between their generation and millennials in the workforce. Strange tactic to take. In 2016, there was an article written by IBM marketing manager Erica Reel. In this article, she states that baby boomer aged employees were the source of dysfunction in IBM teams and caused a general lack of trust. You don't have to trust me. You can look this up. This is all available online, right? This has been gathered by a variety of different publications and put together in a pretty damning package of evidence. But wait, there's more. In another 2016 IBM article, they actually described baby boomers with a couple different terms, one of which was gray hairs, and another was the cleverly named old heads. Old heads. And in that article, they go on to say that IBM has an aging workforce issue, which they appear to be addressing pretty quickly these days, given how many of their older workers they're trying to force out of the company. Now, ProPublica reported that an ex-IBM employee familiar with the process of choosing who is and is not included in a resource action reported that the executives who make those decisions do so with a list of employee names with birth dates beside them. They include the date of birth of the employee as a key piece of information that they use when deciding who's going to be laid off. It's actually reported that millennials are often tagged as early professional hires. And this is very important because if you're an early professional hire, they say you're tagged as ineligible to be laid off. So if you're in your start of your career, you get a grace. If you're young, you can't be included in the resource actions. That's pretty shocking. Now, there's a lot of documents that reflect that older workers and their jobs are being specifically targeted to be pushed overseas as well. It's not just that they want to promote the millennials and retain the millennials and keep the millennials happy, which is fine. I'm a millennial. I have no problem with millennials, but I do have a problem with ignorant thinking where you just judge someone based on their age and then try to destroy their life because you're not good at your job and you can't lead this company, right? The solution to fixing your company is not age discrimination. That's just hateful. So I hope everyone, you understand why so many people are suing IBM for age discrimination, and why so many law firms are bringing these cases and slowly, arduously, painfully bringing IBM to justice. Good luck, everyone.